part 2 to saving money. Got interrupted there, so I'll try again. And the place where you will live will cost less in the long run. So that's important to remember. So I would advise people not to rent an apartment, but to actually own their own house and to build their own house, and to not have anything done for them professionally where they basically do everything themselves. And yes, there will be a longer route to work, but you will also earn more money usually when you drive further to get to work. So it worked out for me. It doesn't work out for all people. You will also get the benefit of fresh air and reduced stress, and plus there's the fact that you become your own master and do not live in a fake group reality. What I mean by that is that when you live in the city, you live the city life. You are constantly going from one group to another group, constantly being on edge, constantly being monitored, constantly being doing something that constantly stresses you, and you can never really fully relax and do the proper thing. You don't have the proper space. You can't play loud music. It's just the air is polluted. It's noisy. There's just no room for anything. So I would advise getting some kind of a house if it is at all possible. It's not possible for everybody, but just being able to get to your own house without having to go up and down stairs is a fantastic thing. And being able to park your car anywhere, not having to go around 20 minutes just to find a place to park your car is just fantastic. And then there's also this reality where if you live in the city, you're often competing with your friends and other people. So they buy an iPad, and then you buy the newest iPad to impress your friends, and they buy a game, and you buy the newest game to impress them, or they buy a Tesla 3, and then you buy a Tesla X to show them that you're the boss. You just get into these very bad, annoying habits that you don't really notice until you've left that environment. So you are in fact saving a hell of a lot of money by moving out of the city and not being in that type of world. So that's very good for many reasons, not just money. And like example, you also learn to do stuff like paint your own apartment and mow your own lawn, repair your own car and do stuff like that, or make your own audio cables like I did. And then there's the fact that I had some friends fix some of my gear for like a tenth of the price compared to what normal audio stores would do, and that helped me keep my foot in the whole hi-fi place where I could try a lot of different stuff because of that. So it's not fun when you have to pay standard price for everything, and to just get a decent sounding piece of equipment, you have to start off with something like $10,000. It's just, there are ways of getting into hi-fi. Like, for example, one of my first really good amplifiers that I got it recommended by one of my friends. He said, hey, there's a Sugden A21A amplifier. It's mostly an effects amplifier, but it can also be used as an integrated. So I thought, great, I just pay $500, then I have a decent amplifier, and I did. It was a decent amplifier, a lot better than the first couple of audio setups that I had for a couple of $1,000, like $3,000 or $4,000. So after that, I had the amplifier modified. I put some plugs on them, some better plugs, some better wire, better inlet plug, and suddenly it was like going from a $3,000-4,000 amplifier to something more like $6,000 or $7,000. So that helped me gain some momentum, and then I started making my own cables and stuff like that, and I did a lot of swapping of equipment, trying a lot of gear, and it's just one of the ways that you can get good equipment doing it this way. So what I later did was I then sold my mechanical car and bought an electric car, and that saved me like $6,000 a year just on diesel alone, and about $4,000 a year in maintenance. And plus there was about $1,000 on car tax that I had to pay previously, which I didn't now have to pay because I have a green car. So again, that's a lot of money that just goes directly into my hi-fi passion. So and when I got my car, my electric car, it was with a 3-year deal with free electricity, and that's one of the reasons why I save $6,000 a year on diesel alone. So but currently you can't really get this. This was a special time limited offer to get people to try electric cars. So and what I basically did was I basically challenged the system, because everybody was saying, oh, electric cars are bad, oh, they don't go far enough, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. But I had a job at that time where I could charge the car, and it helped me. And getting a job after that was a bit more difficult, but I still made it work. And it's just to tell you guys that you can make it work. You know, that there is a solution for solving these problems. You don't have every time you take the traditional route and you have someone else on a long chain making a product for you, then you end up paying so many times more for something just because it's new, just because it's cool, and just because it's a documented, scientifically proven thing that is a lot better than what you have. So just to let you guys, that's the way that I think, and you can maybe try and incorporate that into your lifestyle if you want to. And I also do this, that I don't take any vacations. Instead, I just save up for hi-fi gear, which is more fun. So and again, when you have a top hi-fi system, you don't need a vacation, because you're not stressed. You don't want to go away from where you live. You want to go home to where you live to listen to your own music, because it's high quality sound. It's a lot better than going to a concert. So and again, I buy around half of my food actually going into another country. Like, for example, if I go to Denmark or Sweden or Norway or Germany or England or France or whatever, I can probably go to like 5 countries within 2 days and still see a bit of the country style and save money on the groceries, and it works out for everybody. You know, I get some better food, it's cheaper, it's all great. And that's also one of the really good things to remember, is that I remember going to work and listening to people when they came back from their vacation, and they said, oh, it's a great vacation, we went to this island, or they flew here to Thailand or whatever, and they always use something like $2,000 to $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 just on a week I was just amazed that they could use so much money on just 1 week with the family, eh? And 1 week's vacation is enough for you to buy one really good piece of hardware. Could be a speaker, it could be an amplifier, it could be some cables, DAC, whatever. And just telling you guys that you just have to resist that urge and stay at home and live your own life. You don't have to go on plane trips to all kinds of countries and do all this. It's nice to do once in a while, perhaps once every 5, 10, 20 years. But nah, I prefer not doing that. But that's just me. That doesn't have to be you. So I don't buy soda, I don't buy beer, energy drinks and stuff like that. It keeps me healthy, it makes me more productive. So it makes me save money. So when stuff needs to be done on my house, then I do it myself. I don't pay anyone to do anything unless it's something like plumbing or anything that I can't do myself. But usually I can do most things myself. And a very good one is that I buy clothes used. And the reason I can do that is because it's 1/20th of the price usually. And again, with my music, I have every piece of music that I own. I wouldn't say everything, but most of the music that I own is used music, and it's in good condition, and I don't need to pay full price. And you can also do that. You don't have to use Tidal or iTunes or whatever it's called. I suggest owning records. Then you can listen to them and look at the cover and read the lyrics, and it gets you more involved into listening to hi-fi, and it gives you the true satisfaction of really connecting with the music. And you can't do that when you connect it with your smartphone to your Wi-Fi, so you can control some kind of server sending you a Katie Malua song to your iPad or whatever it is. It just doesn't feel quite as satisfying. And also the music aspect of it, the music quality of it, it's just not nearly as good. It just feels so empty somehow. So I don't really use money on new shoes or clothes. Everything is basically used. I save money on it, and I don't buy the bad stuff that you can see is used. I buy like used Nike shoes, used Puma shoes, used Tommy Hilfiger sweaters, stuff like that, and I can probably get it for like, I don't know, $5 used, and that's doesn't make any sense to buy a new piece of clothes that's like $200, $300, $400 just for, I don't know, a sweater or some jeans. You're anyway gonna need like 50 of those in your lifetime. Are you gonna use 50 times like $100 on jeans? That's definitely one area where you can save a lot of money, and you don't have to give in and do what everybody else is doing. Because for a lot of people, it's unthinkable that, you can't buy used clothes, you can't buy used shoes, it's disgusting, it stinks of pee and stuff like that. No. You can save a lot of money and get high quality used stuff. So I suggest doing that, because going on the internet and just buying some kind of t-shirt for $10, even though it doesn't cost you a lot, it's producing a lot of rubbish, and you're supporting the whole industry and sending your money off to places like China, and I really don't want that to happen. So I think if we can recycle and save money, and then keep that money and push that money into your hi-fi system, so you as a regular salary type of guy who probably only earns, I don't know, 20, 30, 40, $50,000 a year, you can have a pretty high quality setup. It might not take you 1 or 2 years. You might have to wait 3, 4, 5 years to do that, but that will make it possible for you if you do all of these things that I say. But it's up to you. I'm not here to pressure you. I'm just here to tell you what I did. But again, when I buy my stuff, I take it home and then I wash it before I use it. Just so you guys know, I never use anything directly from a shop, just to let you guys know. And I had a couple of cases where I visited some hi-fi shows, and I ended up paying like $60 just for being there for 2 hours. And just to let you guys know this, that if you park near airports or special places in the middle of cities, you will often have to pay a huge amount of money in parking fees. So if you can be prepared before you go to those places, then if you have to absolutely go to those places, be prepared so you can save money. And you can probably save like $30 on a parking like that by just walking 2 minutes more. So it's just to let you guys know that. And I generally help a lot of people in my spare time, and that gives me a lot of good karma back in many different types of ways. Sometimes I like to help my neighbors or my friends with moving their hi-fi gear or trying a new computer or whatever they have. It somehow always acts as a mutual relationship where they give me something back. But I don't really expect anything from them, but it's just a nice thing that I like to do. So the world keeps running around and everybody is happy. And I get about 10% of my fruit from my own garden because I have some apple trees, pear trees, and some other fruits. So that also helps me a lot, and it helps me stock up on my C vitamin that I need. So, and I don't use time lingering in the house or playing games or taking drugs or wasting my time and other stuff like that. I like to know what I want. So I usually dream of getting a lot of hi-fi gear, put it down on a piece of paper saying I'm going to get this piece of gear and it's going to be within this time frame, and I'm going to save this money up, and this is how I'm going to do it. And then I've usually allowed myself like a year or 2 or 3 to perhaps get a better speaker. And it's just to let you guys know that this actually works. Sounds so stupid, but it works for a lot of people. Not all the people out there, but it does actually work. So try it. Maybe you'll like it. And I don't go to live concerts because I like the sound at my own place. I find it a lot more pleasant, a lot more evolved, where when you're listening to these PA speaker systems out on these big grassy areas, usually there's a lot of loss of sound pressure, meaning that they have to turn up the music really, really high. And it's actually something that can destroy your hearing. So I don't like going to concerts because of that. There are some few concerts that are a lot better, but I have since then not gone to any concerts. And it does save me quite a bit of money not going there. So yeah. Plus I haven't mentioned this on this list, but I don't take any taxis. I don't use money on all kinds of weird stuff like bubblegum, cigarettes, whatever. So that's also a really good way to not only save money, but when you keep yourself pure and you don't have just, sugary stuff, drugs, whatever, in your system, it just kind of makes life seem more fun, and you become less numb, and it, good stuff just happens instead of you get unlucky and bad stuff happens. So if it's possible, try and do it. It will save you money and it will make you happy. So another thing to consider. And when I played golf, I was then using free driving range balls and not buying new equipment. I still have the, I think, 10-year-old Callaway golf clubs here, and they still work fine. But I used to be a guy previously that would just buy the newest golf club, then I would be tired of it after half a year, sell it with a huge loss, and then buy the newest golf gear. So that was one of my vices. A lot of other people have other vices, like going online, getting some kind of a subscription game, and then buying stuff in the game. That could also be like one of your vices, perhaps. So I made sure not to buy any new equipment. I just bought this used set, and every 9-ish years, I just change my golf clubs, and that works fine. And again, a lot of the things that I've bought are used. Not everything, like my food is not used, but it a lot of stuff that is really good is hiding out there, and it's for you to find. So let me give you an example of that. I bought a television for my parents. And it was a very good television, and I only paid like $500 because everybody was going from plasma to the new OLED LCD stuff like that. Eh? So they can have a television that's only weighs half as much. It's more cool. It has some few aspects that are better, but I managed to find something that gave me a lot of value, and I'm just going to share that with you guys. It was the Pioneer Kuro plasma televisions, and there was a what were they called? I think it was called something like 500 KRPA or something like that. Really good. And then there was the 5090H television, really, 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 really good. And they actually work surprisingly good with good power cables, which a lot of televisions do not really react to. So again, fun to try, and a very cheap television that you can get that gives you a lot of value, that is kind of off the radar because everybody is interested in LCD, OLED and all that. And yes, they do individual things a lot better, like the black levels are better, and the sharpness is better, and the resolution is better. But if you really, like me, want the true authentic colors that are really nice to look at, and almost like it's difficult to describe, but they just have this like human quality to it. If you're really into that kind of thing, then I suggest getting a Pioneer 5090H, I think it's called. You can almost get that for free nowadays, and no one really wants it anymore. I think it's like 10 years old or something like that. But they're absolutely fantastic for the amount of money. I think you only have to pay like a couple of $100 to get that now, and just ridiculous. So yeah, I actually think that those televisions, they are more natural in reproducing nature scenes and some aspects of the human skin, and the way that it gradually goes from one tone to another. Yes, there are some technical aspects that aren't nearly as good as the newer televisions, but you can make it that good if you want to use the time on it, and you want to find a free calibration setting on the internet. You can use time on that, and you can make your own power cable using some decent plugs and some cheap silver. You can actually boost the picture so it seems more vibrant. So that's what I did. I went with some OIAID 046 plugs and some regular silver cable, and it did a really good job on making the colors a lot better, combined with this calibration ISF tweak that I found on the internet. But that's a different thing. I just wanted to tell you guys that. And I don't have any money that I use on gym membership, because I bought my own gym basically. I had the equipment bought for about $500, and some friends helped me set that up, so that's good. And I don't have any subscription fees to Blockbuster, Netflix, iTunes, Amazon Tidal, whatever it's called, Spotify. I just buy the stuff in physical form because it makes me save money, and I like to have things in physical form because it just makes me enjoy the product. It makes me feel connected to the artists. So that's what I did, and it paid off. I think nowadays you can get like 10 CDs for only a couple of dollars. That's just ridiculous. And yeah, with the television that I told you before. And a really smart thing that I did with my last PC was I made sure that I only changed it every 5 to 7 years, and then I would take a middle PC model that was on offer, which was kind of off the radar but with really good specifications, and then the Windows 10 that came with that, I would uninstall it, and then I would instead put Lubuntu or Kubuntu on it. I would install the newest updates, and I would put something called a CPU governor on. You can always look that up on the internet. But that basically made me able to manually throttle my settings, either going to power save or high performance. And you can't really do that with Windows. So the reason why I chose that is because I noticed that every time I installed Windows on a laptop, it would get slower and slower, and I had to buy new hardware, and soon after that I had to buy a new PC. So I just totally quit that, and I said, no more. I'm not supporting Microsoft, I'm not supporting Apple or anything like that. I'm removing it. I'm doing this the hard way, the proper way, and I used Linux. Didn't take any shortcuts. It was pretty difficult getting over to Linux and getting used to that. It was very difficult, but it helped me gain a bit of performance in some few areas, and overall, the whole operating system is just a lot more light and easy to use. I don't have to wait for the system or be nervous that it updates in the background or any stupid stuff like that, or have to look at a Microsoft store constantly when I start it up and press that start button. So that kind of solved it for me, and it made me able to kind of expand the lifetime of my laptop for about a year or two. So it's basically to let you guys know that. And a very good thing that I also managed to do, which I'm pretty proud of, is that I was able to buy a Motorola One telephone some years ago. 1 or 2 years ago, can't remember. And I only paid $20 for it, new, completely new. And I didn't have to pay any subscription fee next to that or anything. I got the phone. It basically had a $500 value. And what I did is that I removed the operating system, and then I installed Lineage OS on it, and it made it a lot faster. But let's just jump out of my perspective. Let's just throw me into a regular person going into the store, looking at that phone. If I was a regular person and I looked at that phone, I would think, wow, this phone is slow, and the internet is slow, and something is wrong with this phone. I should probably buy a new Apple iPhone or the newest Android phone, whatever they're called, those smartphones. Um, and I didn't do that. I stuck with the plan because I realized with the specifications that were on this phone that it was in the store, it was being hanged up with bad Wi-Fi, and the fact that it hadn't been restarted for a while, and I just noticed that the quality of the camera and some few other things were just a lot better than standard. So I took a giant leap and said, yes, I can make this a lot better without having to pay the full price. So that's what I did. That is sometimes just being lucky, but for me, that was being lucky and persistent. So it's basically just what I'm basically just trying to say is that you just have to be smart and look differently at stuff to save money and not accept the common reality of how stuff looks and at the surface and how you can't change it. So also sometimes I fix my own car, my own lawnmower, and do basic stuff on my car like changing the tires. I'm not a mechanic. I can't do a lot working on cars, but sometimes I just find a YouTube do-it-yourself video and take it from there. And if I have any problems, I just go a couple of 100 meters to my mechanic, and then he deals with it. So it's worth taking those chances. It's not always it's going to work out, but you can save a lot of money trying. Also, in the past, I would buy amplifiers used that I knew were good and that could be upgraded to a sound that was a lot better for a little amount of money. So I knew a technician, he knew a lot of hi-fi gear, and he could tell me, okay, I can work on this amplifier if you ever have to get it upgraded, and so I did. We worked on quite a bit of projects, and it also made me realize what all the different components in an amplifier does, that there are so many levels of resistors, capacitors, electrolytes, transformers, and that is basically what shapes an amplifier's sound, that it's not about all of these other things that manufacturers rave about. So that really got me into to hi-fi and made it possible for me to keep on at this game. So I hope this this stuff has helped you guys a lot with your reality on how the game really looks. There are some ways to get into the hi-fi world, and let me just end off with saying one of the few things that I did in the start that gave me a lot of value for the money was realizing that there was like a speaker like Fenderstein 1CI that I could get used for only like $500. There was a brand called YBA. They made a cheap amplifier called, I can't remember, Heritage A100, something like that. It had a lot of potential, but it wasn't quite there with the sound. But again, a lot of potential. It was easy to repair, so I took a chance, and I'm glad I did, because that amplifier, even though it only cost like $2,000 new and I think like $1,000 used, once I had it modified, I think for around $600 or something like that, it sounded almost like I bought some kind of a $10,000-$15,000 amplifier. It sounded really good, and it had a really good synergy with the Fenderstein speaker, that particular Fenderstein speaker. And just to let you guys know that is possible. It is possible sometimes if you're very focused and try a lot of stuff. Sometimes you get lucky, and sometimes you can get something that's maybe 10 times more worth in money. And I kept on getting lucky. I also tried a used set of JBL 100. What are they called? Classic 100? I can't remember. I also tried that, and I got a lot of value out of that. So it's worth experimenting and looking at hi-fi in a very different way. You'll end up somehow saving a lot of money. I know you probably have to use a lot of time, but yeah, I hope this video will somehow help you in not settling. Rather, I'd rather want you to buy a middle class Macintosh amplifier than having to settle with some used garbage stuff that you can afford here and now that only costs like 1/5 of that amount. Once you start getting into middle class Macintosh or in standard ear amplifier or a Jedis amplifier or an old Audio Note Maishu amplifier or a Tube Go amplifier or something like that, you start getting into the magic world of hi-fi, where stuff really takes off, and you get a really, really deep detail that you almost get obsessed with. And it's fun. You can buy a piece of hardware that's probably $5,000, and if it's like Macintosh, it doesn't lose a lot of its value. You could possibly sell that for like $4,000 the next year or 2 years afterwards. It's not very unlikely. So I suggest trying stuff like that. It's better to have some relatively good middle class equipment than convincing yourself that some guy who's raving about a cheap I don't know, whatever Daco amplifier at 1/5 of the price, that's any good. So that's my message for you guys. Don't settle. You can kind of get what you want as soon as you know exactly what you want.